for this special feature, we're going to talk about, the filming and editing and the making of the DVD. So for the filming, we use this camera, the Canon Vixia HFG20, which of course I got as a gift for graduation back in 2013, and it still works and is still in good condition. Unfortunately, the door can't shut anymore for the LCD screen because of an issue we had whenever it fell when I was animating a scene for Mindworms, but that just gives it more character and it still works perfectly fine. But yeah, we used that, and I had to, I also had to do some white balance tricks to make sure I had it all good, and I also had to do that with a lot of the stop motions, that way the lighting was still in check. But especially depended on the day. We did a lot of outdoor filming. Thankfully, we had a lot of nice, crisp, beautiful days to film, and I was able to have the white balance be kind of normal daylight, so that way it didn't look too overexposed or underexposed. And this camera is really nice in terms of that. It's not a difficult camera to work with. And so we filmed on those nice days. Unfortunately, the weather is inconsistent, so we have had issues beyond our control. But sometimes it worked in our favor because, number one, there were a lot of things that we were doing indoors. And number two, there were also certain scenes in which it needed to look cloudy and gray, like the Breach of Demise or Death Mountain. And of course, I had to make certain shortcuts, like filming people separately. But thankfully for this, it wasn't as chaotic as Mindworms, especially because, there were just very few characters. Well, fewer than Mindworms. And I was able to get the people I needed, on occasions. But of course, I still had to do some trick photography and trick editing because I couldn't get everybody at the same time. Especially, I could never get Impa, Zelda, and Link at the same time, so that's why you never see them directly interacting. It's just, unfortunately, that situation's beyond my control and beyond their control. In fact, we even filmed backups because I knew that, because originally I wanted to have Naboru as a character, and at that point I knew it was going to be inevitable, so we had to film backup footage just in case, which eventually became the case, unfortunately. But basically, let's say, even though the footage looks really nice, it wouldn't have looked that nice without a little bit of color correcting. So as you see, you'll see how I'm doing the color correcting. Basically, I had to be very careful to, have it light in the right places and dark in the right places. That way it could kind of mimic the, the lighting of 80s cinematography, like 80s and 90s dark fantasies. I had to make sure the colors were nice, but not too over the top. Like, make sure there was a good balance of, like, the orange and the blues. And so that's why it looks really nice, because I was able to do that color correcting. As you see, this is what it looked like before color correcting, and this is what it looked like after. And sometimes I had to tweak and change the color correcting methods depending on the time of day or if it was in the dark. And what I would do is, in order to not have to painstakingly do that in every shot, I would do some copy and paste. Like, they don't have a paste option on iMovie, but if you hit edit, you can go to paste adjustments. So that way you can paste the audio or color correcting or crop or whatever. So basically what I had here is, let's say for this example, this is a scene that takes place in the dark. This is another scene that takes place in the dark. So I copy that and I paste the adjustments, and it has the same adjustments and it looks nice. There were some issues I ran with. Like, I don't know exactly why this is. There might be a reason, I'm not sure. But for some reason, whenever I put iPhone videos on, sometimes they usually just won't work on iMovie, especially if they're mixed with different cameras. And so basically, I would have to remove that, but I would add a little bit of a title so that way the music would stay in the right place. Then I'd export that to have as a backup. Then any stuff done with iPhone, I edited that together on its own thing so I could edit it into the final film. And always keep stuff backed up. Like, I think the best chance you have is try not to edit the entire film on one master thing. Try to edit the scenes separately and then put them together on one master thing. Especially do it with the special effects. Because sometimes I'd have to use multiple green screen, so I'd have to go through different generations. Like, have one component green screened, export it, then green screen it into another component, export it, and sometimes it went into an endless circle. And I would always edit, for the most part, I would edit certain chroma key stuff first and export them as their own video files. That way I could easily edit them into the final film. And I did the same with the animations. You'll probably see this in the behind the scenes of Mindworms. But basically on a certain iMovie shell, I would change, in preferences, I would change the duration of the photos to be 0.1 seconds and add the photos, and it would play in rapid succession. And let's say to keep it cheap, if I had certain things to repeat, I would copy and paste certain ones, then export as its own video file, and then just do a little bit of editing and copying and pasting to make it work. It's very cheap, but it is really the best way to do it. As for how I made this DVD, basically what I did was I used System DVD Burner. The old DVD burner on my old Mac doesn't work anymore because it's very out of date, so I got System, and it works really nicely, but there are a few limitations. So for the first one, for the Play Movie, I made it look like a file select screen, including like the fairy fountain music. I just thought that was like a perfect opportunity. And, I would add the movie and whatnot, and I had to split the movie between 2 discs because it is a long movie. And I also got, some of those 6-disc DVD cases. That way disc 1 and 2 had the movie, as well as a few Easter eggs that I hid. And the way I did the Easter eggs, I would put the video somewhere, but I wouldn't put the title, so that way they could be hidden. Disc 3 and 4 had the audio commentary, because unfortunately I don't have the ability to put both the movie and the commentary on a certain disc, depending on the length. And disc 5 and 6 had different bonus features on it. As for the DVD slip, I just use PowerPoint, and that's how I do my DVD cases. I had them at the right dimensions, and I made sure they follow kind of in the right template. Then I would add the text and everything, and the rating, and the DVD symbol. Then I'd print it, let it dry, definitely let it dry, so that way the paint doesn't smear. And then put in the DVD case, and voila, that's how I do my DVDs. I hope this could be insightful if you guys don't have your own software. And of course I had to make DVD labels, but I didn't want to get the software for it. So I put a template on Microsoft, on the pages, and did it there and just printed it onto the DVD labels, and it worked nicely. And so yeah, that's how I edited the film, and I hope it's insightful, and I hope it inspires anybody who wants to do their own Zelda fan film or any kind of independent film or fan film. I hope it gives ideas of how to do like different shortcuts and everything like that.